he's about to be chucked out of the States.
This professional separation is becoming a personal one too.
Their hand has been forced.
Planning on staying in the United Kingdom for, I don't know, maybe a year before they head over to Australia. You can't control them. And they, in this instance, they're showing you that they can't be controlled, and they refuse to be controlled.
We've got this migrant crisis going on the south coast. Now they're coming across from America as well. Got these two migrants, Harry and Meghan. Now that really, really is a crisis.
Harry may be preparing to leave America behind, but Meghan might not be going with him. What was presented as a dramatic family return to Britain is already splitting into two completely different plans.
She's based in the United States and he's based here.
Before we get into today's story, I wanted to let you know that I finally launched my Patreon. Many of you have been asking for more royal family content, so that's exactly what I'll be posting there. Exclusive investigations, bonus videos, breaking royal news, and members-only discussions that won't be available on YouTube. If you're interested, you'll find the link in the description. Now, let's get into today's story. Harry is looking toward the English countryside, a new home, and long stretches of time back on British soil. Meghan still has a mansion, a business, and an entire identity anchored in California.
He even had a location in mind, the Cotswolds, the rolling English countryside close to his father's honey-stoned home of Highgrave, whereas former staff have told me Harry was happy as a teenager and young man. He knows the area with an intimacy that only years of embedded familiarity can produce. He drank in its pubs with William in easier times, at the Rattlebone Inn, among others, where the brothers are said to have smoked in the days where their relationship allowed for such fraternal adventures. He lost his virginity in a field behind another local pub. The Cotswolds is home, and that is where he wants to be.
And now an explosive question is hanging over the whole operation. Is Harry choosing Britain freely, or is growing pressure around his American immigration records making that decision for him? Because this no longer looks like a simple homecoming, it looks like an escape route.
Heritage Foundation have been running a long-running campaign to make Harry's visa application transparent, that the American people should be allowed to see whether or not this guy told the truth about his consumption on his visa application to live in America 6 years ago, because subsequent to filling that form out, he wrote his spiteful little book Spare, in which he said he was a very keen, user.
One spouse may be preparing for a new life in the United Kingdom, while the other keeps one foot firmly planted in the United States. Weeks apart could beckfoam months apart. A temporary arrangement could become permanent. And the marriage that once sold itself as inseparable may soon be tested by an ocean, two homes, mounting expenses, and two people who appear to want completely different futures.
We also know that Prince Harry has been really miserable for quite a long time.
Absolutely. But as long as Harry was miserable and Meghan had the whip hand, she would go, and he would have to keep in his space. He doesn't have to keep in his space anymore because the dynamics have changed.
So what is really driving Harry back? Why would Meghan remain in the country he may be preparing to leave? And if their great British comeback begins with separate addresses, separate careers, and separate priorities, is it actually a comeback at all? The first warning sign is the sudden confusion surrounding the move itself.
At first, they told you they were moving to Canada. Then they decided to move to the United States at the last minute. I'm hearing reports that they are planning on staying in the United Kingdom for, I don't know, maybe a year before they head over to Australia. Why should you have to pay for these two people that are totally undisciplined and can't and won't commit to anything?
At first, the story sounded decisive. Harry and Meghan were returning to Britain for an extended period. A new residence would be found outside London. Their American chapter appeared to be closing, but almost immediately, that clean announcement began to fracture. Was the stay permanent? 6 months? 1 year? Would California remain their true base? Would Britain merely become another stop between America and Portugal?
I did wonder if this is a permanent move or not.
I don't think it is.
You can't trust their word anymore.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
I think that it's very unfair to expect British taxpayers to pay for Harry and Meghan's schizophrenic behavior.
No one seems able to give a straight answer, and that matters, because a family does not normally uproot its entire life without knowing where it intends to live. Yet the Sussex plan appears to change depending on which detail emerges next. They are coming back, but they are keeping Montecito. They want a British base, but they may not stay. Harry wants the countryside, while Meghan's commercial life remains tied to America. This is not one clear relocation, it is a patchwork of exit doors.
It could only be 6 months or a year, and absolutely, Kins, I read that, then Australia. What's this, a world tour, so that they can find themselves eventually somewhere where people go, okay, but I just think there's no, I don't think they grasp, not just in England, across the world, the depth of anger that people feel. But even that, right? Why do you want to use the monarchy, the very institution you called racist and outdated? Why do you want your kids to have titles, Kins? I don't understand that.
Then came the detail that changes everything. Harry may spend weeks, perhaps months, in Britain without Meghan. A friend reportedly described a future in which Harry establishes himself in the Cotswolds, while Meghan remains in California whenever business keeps her there.
They don't have any amount of money coming in. Let's remember, all the money that came in was basically as a result of Harry. Meghan may have cut the deals, but Harry's existence is the one that made the deals possible.
The arrangement was treated almost casually, as if an ocean between husband and wife were simply a scheduling inconvenience. But months apart are not a minor calendar problem, they are a different kind of marriage. Harry's plan appears remarkably specific. He wants the English countryside, not central London. He is said to know the Cotswolds intimately and to feel at home there.
A friend of Harry's told me in the spring of 2026, if he doesn't get the security, he will just go house hunting anyway.
He reportedly intends to spend at least a month in Britain around the 2027 Invictus Games, and may buy a property before or after that visit. Security or no security, he is supposedly prepared to move forward. That is not a vague wish to visit more often. That sounds like a man laying foundations. And where is Meghan in those foundations? That is where the answers become noticeably weaker.
Had there not been a financial problem, there would have been less of an... Meghan would have had no motivation to come back. But she needs to come back with Harry because she can't be separated from Harry because she's not making money on her own.
Totally.
Her presence in Britain appears to depend on whether Britain is commercially useful to her. If work makes sense, she could divide her time. If it does not, California remains the practical choice. In other words, Harry's reason for returning is personal, emotional, and increasingly urgent. Meghan's reason for returning appears conditional. If Britain does not produce money, opportunity, or visibility, why would she stay?
There's no other billionaire lining up. You know, she is damaged goods in a whole load of ways. So she has to cling on. She has to swallow her pride. And this is a woman who, above anything else, is strategic.
There has already been a jolt to her proposed British comeback. Reports about a possible role in The Gentleman were followed almost instantly by claims that the idea had been dropped after a fierce reaction. Other reports insisted discussions were still alive. Either way, there is no confirmed role and no secure British acting future waiting for her. We covered that confusion yesterday.
By allowing Meghan's possible involvement in The Gentleman to become public before anything was even finalized, completely blew up. Absolutely unbelievable how the turnaround happened within less than 24 hours.
So the key point today is simple. Meghan does not yet have a professional anchor strong enough to explain a permanent move. Her lifestyle operation also remains connected to the American market and the image she built in California. That business can be managed across borders, but it does not require her to sit in a Cotswolds kitchen while Harry disappears into the countryside.
It's a complete change in the dynamic between this couple. You know, Salt and Pepper always used to be together, ended up actually not really wanting anything to do with each other as misery took over the house in Montecito. Then, of course, we come to your bombshell reporting, which is that Meghan found text messages on Prince Harry's phone, which suggested that he may be too close to another woman in Montecito. So I think we can definitely say that if the marriage had been happy, and of course there's a whole load of factors that go into that, you know, betrayal, but also finances, then they wouldn't be on their way back.
Meghan can keep the Montecito backdrop, maintain her American contacts, and fly into Britain when a camera, contract, or carefully planned appearance makes the trip worthwhile. Harry, meanwhile, can build the British life he has apparently been craving for years.
Harry and Meghan Markle were secretly planning to move to the UK for months with or without security.
That alone would be enough to raise questions about the marriage. But now the American visa dispute has returned at exactly the moment Harry is preparing his British landing pad. The timing is impossible to ignore. For years, a campaign has sought access to records connected to Harry's immigration status. The argument centers on whether the information he provided when entering the United States was consistent with later public disclosures.
The State Department is reviewing nearly 300 documents relating to Prince Harry's immigration application. That's nearly 2,500 pages worth of documents.
Say that again.
18 documents are reportedly still being withheld. No public ruling says Harry is being removed. No official announcement says his right to remain has been cancelled. Those facts must be clear. But the lack of answers has allowed a far more dramatic theory to explode. Could Harry be preparing for Britain because he is no longer confident about his future in America?
The American State Department is pretty close to saying, yes, the Heritage Foundation are right, the American people should see this. So it is possible that Harry's alleged potential lies on his visa form are about to be exposed.
One commentator went as far as suggesting Harry may be chucked out of the United States. That is a theory, not a confirmed outcome. Yet even an unresolved immigration controversy can create pressure. Harry does not need to receive an official order tomorrow for the uncertainty to affect his choices today. If private documents could face further scrutiny, if more questions are coming, and if the temperature around his residency keeps rising, establishing another home would be a logical insurance policy.
That's one of the reasons they've come hot-footing it back to Britain. He's about to be chucked out of the States.
And where is the safest insurance policy for a prince whose American experiment is wobbling? Britain, the country he publicly left, the institution he repeatedly criticized. The family relationship he spent years exposing. Suddenly, the old home he said could not protect him is useful again. Suddenly, the countryside he abandoned is calling him back.
Why they're coming back? Because there's something we don't know here. I think there's an element that nobody knows yet.
Suddenly, living near the royal world looks more attractive than remaining entirely dependent on an uncertain future in California. But Harry's possible exit creates a brutal problem for Meghan. America is where she rebuilt herself. It is where she attempted to become a producer, presenter, entrepreneur, and lifestyle figure. In Britain, she faces a press she distrusts, a public that has not forgotten, and a royal family that is not offering her a working role.
British public will not stand for it. Absolutely not stand for it.
They are so deeply unpopular, and they are going to face a lot of rejection, and they're going to face a lot of harsh criticism. And we know how sensitive Meghan Markle is, period, not can be, just typically is. I mean, she did 6 hours of Netflix complaining about the British media. Does she really think that her big return is going to be celebrated? Absolutely not.
Why would she willingly surrender the place where she has the most control to follow Harry into a country where her control disappears? That may explain the two-base strategy. Harry gets Britain, Meghan keeps America. Publicly, they can call it flexibility. They can describe it as managing international commitments. They can insist modern couples travel. But there is a major difference between occasional work trips and building separate daily lives on opposite sides of the Atlantic.
Was being floated as just a professional separation.
It was always more than that.
Yeah. And I mean, I really don't see Meghan actually taking her claws out of Harry unless she finds something bigger and better. And I'm not sure that she has the attributes to find something either bigger or better. Or quite frankly, I don't know I don't think even my gardener would want to be tainted with an association with her.
Breakfast happens separately. Problems are handled separately. Friends, routines, and loyalties grow separately. Eventually, the distance stops feeling temporary because separate becomes normal. This is especially striking for a couple that once built its public identity around total unity. Harry and Meghan moved as a package. They appeared together, spoke together, and presented every major decision as a joint mission. Salt and pepper were supposed to move together. Now, Harry's British future can apparently be described in detail, while Meghan's place in it is reduced to a business calculation. That is not the old dynamic.
We also have to think about whether it is realistic financially for Meghan to keep the house in Montecito. Of course, there have been suggestions now for some time that she wants an off-market sale, and that is one of the reasons why she was sort of touting her new kitchen.
Something has changed. Money may be one reason. Their Montecito estate is not a sentimental little cottage that can sit quietly until they return. Estimates place the annual cost of the property, including a possible mortgage, tax, insurance, staffing, landscaping, utilities, and maintenance, at roughly $1 to $1.5 million before major private security expenses.
Keeping Harry and Meghan's Montecito mansion is very expensive, even before you factor in security. Property taxes, $152,000 a year. Insurance, $50,000 to $150,000. Landscaping the grounds, up to $150,000. Pool and spa, $20,000. Housekeeping and property staff, up to $200,000. Repairs and maintenance, $250,000. Utilities, $40,000 to $80,000. The estimated mortgage, $516,000 a year. That puts the potential cost of maintaining the Montecito estate at roughly $1 to $1.5 million a year, including the estimated mortgage, and that doesn't include their security costs. They are broke, and there is no way they can keep the house.
Even if those estimates vary, the central problem is obvious. Keeping an enormous California estate while financing a new British home creates two expensive lives instead of one. They are also reportedly keeping a property connection in Portugal. Add regular international travel, professional teams, legal expenses, and security, and the supposedly simple return becomes a global financial machine. How many homes does a couple need before freedom begins to look like an overhead problem?
Their problem is it's never been one way or the other. They muddy the waters and change their opinions, I think, depending on what they want.
They want their cake and they want to eat it too. Like, they want to have the royal titles, they want to be able to sell their brand and monetize it, but they don't want any of the responsibilities that come from it.
And if Harry's strongest earning power still comes from his royal identity, can Meghan really afford for that identity to disappear into a quiet American life? Even the timing of the move has opened another financial puzzle. By remaining outside Britain for more than 5 full tax years, Harry may have cleared one important threshold connected to gains made while living abroad. But returning after 6 years instead of waiting 10 could also mean missing other protections connected to overseas income and assets.
Those are resources that could be used for people that commit their lives, dedicate their lives to your country and to the safety of your country and to the betterment of your country. And Harry and Meghan just want to dip in and out whenever they feel like they need a little royal electricity.
The details depend on residency and personal finances that have not been made public, so nobody can declare their final bill. Yet the contradiction is striking. This move may help them in one area while exposing them in another. A decision advertised as emotional and family-driven may carry consequences worth millions. Was the calendar carefully calculated, or did another pressure force them to move before the most financially advantageous moment?
It's good to see Harry and Meghan achieve 6 full tax years of non-UK residency to manage the temporary non-resident rules for capital gains tax. They have clearly had some good tax advice, and the timing of the move back to the UK is immaculate. Now, that is because HMRC, that's like the tax man here in the UK, has a rule designed to stop wealthy Brits scooting abroad, cashing in their assets and strolling back home. It's called the temporary non-residence rule, and it means that if you leave the UK and come back within 5 years, you never really left for tax purposes as far as capital gains are confirmed. But if you stay out for more than 5 years, which in practice means 6 complete calendar years, You're golden. Now look at the Sussex calendar. They left in March 2020, just before the tax year ended on the 5th of April. They have now been non-resident for, surprise, the requisite 6 full tax years.
Either answer creates a new problem. If the timing was calculated, the romantic homecoming looks more strategic. If it was rushed, then something powerful may have accelerated Harry's exit from America. That question goes directly to the changing balance inside the marriage. Meghan may have negotiated deals and shaped the brand, but Harry's title, history, and family connection opened doors that would otherwise have remained closed.
Everything, and Spotify was supposed to have been Harry and Meghan, and it failed miserably when it was just Meghan. Everything with Netflix has failed except for their 6-part We Were So Miserable, and we were the victims of a serious racist family and a terrible British racist people, all of whom now they're rushing back to.
If the large entertainment agreements are no longer arriving with the same force, Harry's value to the operation becomes even more important. Yet the more he rebuilds a life in Britain, the less control Meghan may have over his movements, relationships, and decisions. Would she follow him to preserve the partnership? Would she remain in California to preserve her independence? Or would they attempt both and discover that neither life works properly? That is the trap.
Harry and Meghan are completely unpredictable. And, you know, it's like Harry saying he's looking forward to going to Ukraine again soon. You know, why? Because you choose to put yourself in these positions. First of all, who are you representing when you go to Ukraine? But when you put yourself in these positions, why are other people, dangerous positions, why are other people expected to pay to keep you safe? You are the consequences have, you know, actions have consequences. If you are going to put yourself in those difficult positions, then you should have to deal with how to protect yourself and what the consequences are.
Meghan may have little enthusiasm for Britain, but she may have even less enthusiasm for allowing Harry to establish a completely independent base there. And Harry's British plan comes with another enormous obstacle: security. The couple stepped away from royal duties and lost automatic state protection. Harry fought to challenge that arrangement and did not obtain the full outcome he wanted. A new assessment may still consider protection according to risk, but returning as a private citizen does not automatically restore the security package he once had.
They have to live just like any other citizen.
Now, former senior government figures have suggested a limited middle option: temporary or reduced protection rather than an around-the-clock operation. That sounds practical, until Harry's expectations enter the room. Would he accept protection only for specific events? Would he accept private guards for ordinary days? Would he lower his profile? Or would every movement become another public battle over what he believes he is owed?
But taxpayers, British taxpayers, should foot the bill, the £5 million a year bill, for Harry, Meghan and their kids' security.
Private security in Britain also cannot simply perform every function of specialist police protection. That is why the argument becomes complicated. There may be genuine risks, but there is also genuine public anger. Harry and Meghan chose to leave royal duty, pursue commercial deals, and live privately. If they now return without resuming those duties, why should the public finance a lifestyle they designed for themselves? The possible price has been described as millions. That number alone will ignite resentment.
They gave up their royal duties, they left the country, they decided to turn their back on the royal family and indeed the country when they left. And it's obviously their prerogative to come back to the UK if they wish to, but why should the UK taxpayer pick up the burden of making sure their security is paid for? Absolutely not.
People struggling with bills will hear that a wealthy couple keeping homes in California, Britain, and Portugal may receive publicly supported protection. They will ask why. They will remember that Harry and Meghan wanted independence. They will remember every complaint about Britain, and they will not quietly celebrate the couple arriving with a security convoy funded by everyone else. This is where the comeback collides with reality. Harry may want royal-level protection without royal responsibility. Meghan may want British opportunity without British criticism. Together, they may want the status of returning royals while insisting they are private citizens. But Britain has already rejected the old half-in, half-out fantasy once. Why would the answer be different now?
He's burnt his bridges so many times with the royal family. You know, he needs to live his own life how he wants to live it. And I think unfortunately, it takes up too much press time. It takes up too much security. So yeah, he's not doing himself any favours.
The palace problem is just as dangerous. King Charles reportedly learned of the decision only shortly before it became public. He was informed, but he was not described as an architect of the move. That means Harry and Meghan may be returning near the royal family without a carefully negotiated royal plan. They are not coming back as working royals. They have not repaired the collapse in trust, and William's relationship with Harry remains deeply damaged. That creates fear of a rival operation. Harry and Meghan could live in Britain, use their titles, dominate headlines, attend selected events, promote commercial projects, and create the appearance of a second royal court, all without palace control.
Like, they're just very delusional, and I think we watch and we're just kind of obsessed with the fact that they just lack any and all sense of reality.
Every appearance would invite comparison. Every leak would create suspicion. Every claim about Charles would trigger questions about private family conversations. The palace would be forced to react to a pair it cannot direct. That may be why warnings about their reception are becoming so sharp. They are not returning to the Britain they left 6 years ago. The public has watched the interviews, the series, the accusations, the memoir, and the commercial use of royal grievances. Time has passed, but the record has not vanished. Meghan may hope a new role or polished appearance will reset the story. Harry may believe proximity to his father will soften resistance, but a plane ticket does not erase 6 years of anger.
Thomas Markle would love a phone call too. It's interesting that we're pandering to the father figure that has the fortune and that has the social ranking.
Recent polling has shown only a small minority supporting a return to official royal duties. That does not mean every person opposes their presence in the country. They are free to live privately. But living privately is very different from expecting applause, public funding, palace access, or a restored position. If they confuse permission to return with public forgiveness, the backlash could be immediate. And Meghan is particularly exposed. She has spoken at length about the pain caused by British coverage. What happens when she returns to an even more skeptical press environment? What happens when every outfit, appearance, contract, and absence is examined? If she disliked the attention before, how will she handle a comeback built on unanswered questions about money, security, motives, and marriage? Perhaps that is why remaining in California looks so attractive.
It's hard to believe that either of them are having the most brilliant time if they've reached a stage where their business has failed so badly that they've had to go back on everything that they said they were leaving the United Kingdom.
Meghan can control the setting, choose her appearances, and protect the identity she created after leaving royal life. She can let Harry face the British storm, while joining him only when the opportunity is valuable enough. But that choice would confirm the very suspicion they may be desperate to deny, that this is not one family beginning a shared chapter. It is two adults building separate escape routes. Harry's route leads toward the Cotswolds, Charles, Invictus, and a familiar royal landscape. Meghan's route leads back to Montecito, American business, and the world she tried to build without the palace. Between them sits an unresolved visa controversy, an enormous security argument, multiple expensive homes, and a marriage that could spend months operating through phones and flights.
This pair of ingrates, Harry and Meghan, have plunged the royal family into an existential crisis.
So forget the polished phrase, extended stay. The real question is much harsher. Is Harry returning home while Meghan is being left behind? Is Meghan staying in America because Britain has already rejected her comeback? Or are they quietly testing separate lives before admitting that the Grand Sussex partnership no longer points in one direction? Nothing official confirms that Harry will be forced to leave America. Nothing official confirms that Meghan will live apart from him permanently. But their own emerging plans have created these questions. Harry is preparing for a substantial British future. Meghan's commitment appears conditional. The United States is no longer a guaranteed shared destination, and the United Kingdom is not offering them a united royal restoration. They wanted freedom from the palace.
But I can see why people are furious, because they go, well, why do we have to fit the bill for your indecisiveness? That's not what the royal family is supposed to be for.
Now Harry may need Britain again. Meghan wanted an American empire. Now she may have to protect it alone. And if one of them chooses the old country while the other clings to the new one, the greatest threat to their marriage may not be a headline, a court dispute, or a palace door slammed shut. It may be the Atlantic Ocean and the separate lives already forming on either side of it. If you enjoyed this video and want even more royal family content, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I'm uploading exclusive investigations, bonus content, and members-only videos that won't be released on YouTube. I'll be adding new content regularly. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to everything, the link is in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.